Hey everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Book Nook. We're reading The Scourge by A.G. Henley, and we are on Chapter 10. The water is unbelievably cold. It takes my breath away. I hold Perry under the arms, feet downstream. He flails as we sweep through the cave. I try to come up for air, but my head meets solid rock, my face still underwater. Panic smothers me. I fight it. The water throws us into the rock walls. Perry slumps in my arms. We hit an outcropping, and pain explodes through my side. Sliding downwards, the water levels out, dragging us. My ribs are in agony, my lungs exploding. I clear the surface and gasp for breath. My forehead slams into a rock, and water dashes down my throat. I gasp and choke. I'm drowning. Suddenly, light bursts around us. We plunge into a roaring, plummeting wall of water. Perry's head ricochets against my brow. Stunned, I cling to him like a raft. And as swiftly as it began, the terrifying ride is over. Calmer water surrounds us. Warm water. I try to hold Perry's face above the surface, but his weight pushes me under. My hand brushes against something slimy, slender, and plant-like. I seize it. It's attached to solid ground. I pull myself and Perry's body up as far as I can and collapse. Darkness overtakes me. I wake to the faint sound of birdsong and the rusty taste of blood in my mouth. The water careening down nearby masks any other noise. It's bright, too bright even for me, after so many days in the dark caves. Hazily, I realize we must be outside. I say a quick thanks. I stretch my arms and legs. Pain grips every small movement. My forehead throbs and it hurts to breathe. The ribs on my left side crackle like a handful of kindling. Raising my head prompts a wave of nausea, so I stay low. I feel like I was thoroughly beaten, which isn't far from the truth. I hear a low moan and I panic. Where's Perry? If the Scourge is here, he could be gone already. We can't have come this far for him to be taken by flesh-eaters. Battling pain and nausea, I grope around my body, my hands sliding through mud and grass. I only breathe again when I realize Perry's the one doing the moaning. He's alive. I lie next to him, holding his hand. Time passes. I drift in and out, only aware of his body next to mine. The light's gone when I come to again. For a moment, I think we're back in the caves, but I smell the organic, peaty soil and the bitter nip of the greenheart trees, so much stronger now that I haven't smelled them in days. We're outside, I remember. I push myself up to my knees with one arm, allowing the other to curl around my injured ribs. I probe my forehead gently. An enormous knot squats on my brow, crusted with the hardened blood and mud. Every movement of my head creates fresh fault lines. I lean over Perry, listening for the sound of his breath. It's there, weak but consistent. I'm grateful and astonished. Truthfully, I wasn't expecting to survive myself. I wish I could tell where we are. I can hear a few insects in the vegetation around us, but not much else, thanks to what must be a waterfall that spit us out here. Beyond that, I'm terrifyingly ignorant. What if the Scourge does come? I transfer our few belongings to my pocket, then crawl to the water hole and fill the sack. The water tastes pure, like its source, the hidden waters. As I pour a tiny stream into Perry's mouth, I hear a new sound, shuffling feet. I freeze, my hands poised over his body, ready to pull him into the water and away from the creatures. But the shuffling is all I hear. Whatever it is, it sounds much smaller than one of the creatures. An animal? Maybe a possum or a squirrel? My stomach snarls. I imagine Perry waking to the mouth-watering smell of freshly cooked meat, as if I could catch an animal and make a fire with a bunch of broken ribs. The animal does mean one good thing. The Scourge must not be near. In our part of the forest, the animals are indicators of how close the flesh-eaters are. They take to the trees or burrow under the earth as the first sign of the creatures. I think about the tiger, or whatever she was. How long had she been hiding from the creatures in the entrance to the cave? She must have been desperate. Hatred for the Scourge boils in me again. The animal moves off, having drunk its fill. We must look and smell half dead for it to have come so close to us. I take Perry's left hand, and, ribs screaming at the moment, I lie back in the scrubby grass. When I wake again, the air is cool, but carries the promise of warmth as the sun sheds its first light. I get to my feet, wincing at the hammering in my head, and refill the sack. Poor Perry. There's no change in his condition, as far as I can tell. I wonder if he hit his head as many times as I did in the underground river. I wonder if he'll ever wake again. The forest sounds are louder now. Magpies hop around us, their screeches audible over the crashing water. I sit on the bank and think about slipping in to wash the grime off my body, but I can't find the energy. I try to form a plan, but what can I do? I doubt I can carry Perry when I'm fresh and uninjured, much less now. I can try to get help, but I have no idea which way to walk. I didn't think about how I'd get home when I slid into the hidden waters. I wanted to get Perry out of the caves he hated, to let him die under the sun. Now it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. I can't think about the things he said in the caves. It hurts too much, more painful than the aching in my body. I feel like I'm back in the freezing river, being swept away by the events of the last few weeks. No sense of direction in my own life. I'm at the mercy of the water, as I've always been, as we all have been. Footsteps behind me. This is no possum. I stay very still, afraid to move in case it draws the flesh-eater's attention. I'm about 4 or 5 paces from where Perry lies, too far to reach him and drag him into the water to safety. If I can't run, I'll fight. I clutch my side, ready to jump to my feet. I don't know why the creature hasn't already attacked. "She's here," Perry murmurs. Relief shoots through me at the sound of his voice, followed by dread at his words. He recognizes one of the fleshies. "She'll take you home." "I'm not leaving you," I hiss. "Go, please." The sadness, the futility in his voice tears at my heart. I wait and listen. A high-pitched human voice breaks the silence. It sounds like a child, a little girl, but I can't understand her. What's she doing out here by herself? She pauses, then speaks again. This time I recognize the words. "You aren't one of them, are you?" the girl asks. "One of who?" I ask. "Runa, sick one." "No, I'm not sick, but there's blood on you, and you're dirty, like them." "I know, I'm sorry if I scared you. I've been traveling a long time and I'm injured. I won't hurt you." I stand gingerly and face her. "What's your name?" "Cora." "That's pretty. My name is Fennel." "You can't see, can you?" she asks. "No. Why not? I was born this way." She considers my words. "So you can't see what I'm doing right now?" "No. What are you doing?" I ask warily. "Waving at you." I smile and wave back to her. "Are you here all alone? Where are your parents?" "In the village. I'm getting water for my mother." My heart thumps in my chest. "How far is your village?" "Not far. I can skip all the way there if I want to." She sounds proud. "Can you take me there? Do you want to skip with me?" I cringe at the idea. My head is already splitting. "Maybe later. Can we walk fast instead?" "Okay. Is your friend hurt too?" "Yes. Do you think we can get help for him in your village?" "Sure. Come on." I don't want to leave Perry alone. What if Scourge comes? But I don't think I have a choice. I try to tell him I'll be back, but he doesn't respond. I think he's unconscious again. I step toward Cora, and she puts her small hand in mine, leading me away from the sound of the waterfall. I want to interrogate her as I walk. Where are we? Who are her people? Why do they allow a small child to wander through the forest on her own? But I'm afraid of frightening her, so I stumble along silently, barely able to contain my impatience. The sound of water fades behind us, replaced by our footsteps and the busy noises of birds. No vegetation touches me as I walk. It must be a cleared path. "Why are you holding your side like that?" Cora asked. "I hurt my ribs." "You should see Nerang. He'll help you. He can help your friend too." "Is he your herbalist?" "What's an herbalist?" She pronounced the word herbalist. "Someone who helps people who are sick or hurt." "Oh, yes, he's our healer. But he helps well people too. He makes funny faces and tells me stories when I'm sad, and I feel better." I hear faint voices ahead of us. I imagine what my people would do if a bloody, filthy stranger come out of the forest holding the hand of one of our children, looking for the world like one of the flesh eaters. I stiffen and pray that Cora's people are different. "It's okay," she says, concern in her voice. "Nerang will help you feel better too." "I know." I smile for her. I try to notice as much as I can about where I am before we're spotted. The sun isn't as bright as by the water hole, but I can feel it on my shoulders. I hear the wind all around me, the ground and the trees. Bread is baking somewhere nearby. The delicious scent makes my empty stomach contract. I smell freshly cut wood, turned soil, and among it all, the pervasive greenheart trees. My guess is I'm in a community similar to ours at home, but larger from the sound of it. "Cora?" A man shouts from across the clearing. "Cora!" More worried voices call out, and I hear people running towards us. I hold the little girl's hand loosely, ready to drop it in case I'm grabbed or dragged off. A woman speaks very near to us. Her words are foreign to me, but I hear her fear. Cora stays close by my side. "Mama, this is my friend Fennel." She speaks a second language. She's not Runa, but she's hurt. She needs Nerang. "Where did you come from? How did you get here?" a man asked angrily. "Please, I need help." I touch my forehead, assuming it must look as bad as it feels. Pain grips my ribs when I move, and I grimace. I want to ask the people to help Perry, but first I need to figure out if they'll help us or kill us. "Your head looks like the sky before a storm," a second man says with concern. "What happened to you?" "I came from the caves through the river. I hit a few rocks before I landed in your water hole," I say. Several people mutter. The first woman, who I assume is Cora's mother, asks, "You came from the dark place by yourself?" Her voice is soft. I make an effort to smile. I'm pretty much always in a dark place. "We should take her to Wirram," the angry man says. "He should know about this." Cora speaks up again, her small voice determined. "Nerang first." "The child is right," a new man says. His voice is gentle, with what I can only describe as an undertone of suppressed laughter. "The girl is injured. She needs our help. Have we lost our ability to be hospitable? Wirram should know that a Lorinya is here, claiming she came from the dark place," the angry man says. "Then go tell him. In the meantime, I will offer our visitor what aid I can. Come with me, young one." The laughing man puts my hand on his arm and guides me away from the others. His skin is smooth. It feels younger than his voice sounds. "Thank you, Cora," I say over my shoulder. "Don't forget, you promised to skip with me when you feel better." "I won't forget." I hear groups of people talking about me in hushed voices as we walk. It's clear I've drawn a crowd. The man leading me seems oblivious. "I'm Nerang," he says. "I'm Fennel." "You have no sight," he remarks casually. "You must be brave to have journeyed through the dark place all alone." I hesitate, wondering if I can trust him. I already want to. His voice is calming and familiar, as if I've known it all my life, or maybe it's just that he smells of rosemary like aloe. I wasn't alone. Nerang pauses. His voice is sharper than before, but still kind. "There are others?" "Just one." I think of the heat of the wound in Perry's leg and his last words pleading with me to go. My words come out in a rush. "And he's hurt, far worse than me. He's no danger to anyone. Truly, he can't even walk. Please, please help my friend. He's at the water hole. Friend? The word doesn't seem sufficient somehow. My heart will break if Perry dies, as surely as it would if Eland or Aloe died. It's already splintering. After a moment, Nerain calls to somebody nearby in the other language. A man answers. Their short exchange sounds like birds bickering over a meal. Our men will go to the water hole, Nerain says. Thank you, I say breathlessly. You and I will go up into the trees, he tells me. Climb? I ask doubtfully. My ribs are throbbing, and I'm weak as a hatchling. He chuckles and gently presses me forward. I step onto what sounds like wooden boards. Reaching out, I feel more wood. A stripped horizontal tree branch at about the level of my stomach. Nerain joins me. Then he says something in a strange tongue again. The boards under my feet lurch, and we rise into the air. I grip the branch, bracing myself. Don't worry, young one, you won't fall, he says. Where are we going? To my home. My herbs and treatments are there. You all live in trees? In the trees or on the ground, as each family pleases. I can't decide if I'm more shocked that the people get to choose, or that some would choose to live on the ground in constant danger from the scourge. The platform stops. I don't move, afraid to make a misstep. Nerain takes my arm again. This way. I feel like we're very high, higher than when I was in the trees with Perry. A damp, smoky scent, like water poured over a cooking fire, hangs in the air. A few people line up along the walkway, speaking in their language. Their whispering stops as I go by, then restarts after I pass. I hear the word Lorena over and over. I keep my head held high, but my grip on Nerain tightens. Relax now, we're here, he tells me. Here is a shelter, mostly dark and a little cramped and boxy from the way our voices sound when we enter. It smells of things both sweet and bitter, some familiar, others very strange. I'm reminded of Marjorie's work room back home, where all the freshly picked herbs are dried, ground, and stored. I turn my head toward a particularly pungent scent and sway with a sudden movement. Nerain steadies me. Sit, he says firmly. It's a bed, an incredibly soft, thick bed that feels like layers and layers of fluffy feathers. Compared to the stone floors I've been sleeping on for days, it's heavenly. I sink down in it. Nerain moves away and lights something. Soon, the soothing scent of lavender and some other harsher odor fills the cozy shelter. Water splashes in a basin, and a cool, minty-smelling cloth slides across my face and arms, cleaning away the dirt and blood. I relax under Nerain's gentle touch. Where did you come from? He asks. My mind is fuzzy with fatigue and the strong scent of the burning incense. Sleep is approaching like a powerful storm. I won't be able to avoid it. I don't want to avoid it. Caves, I slur. And before that, forest. His voice is soft but insistent. What are your people called? Should I tell him? Is it safe? I can't think. I'm half asleep already. Groundlings, I mumble. Yes, he says. I ask only one question before I succumb to unconsciousness. Where am I? Kokuna. It means place of safety. Rest now, young one. You are safe. I sleep, and for the first time since I became the water bearer, I don't dream. A welcome cocoon of peace and painlessness wraps around me. Only a few sensations break through. The potent incense, the nutty taste of the thin gruel, Nerain's voice. He sings to himself in his strange native tongue as he ministers to my injuries. Voices call to each other outside. The wind taps the door against its frame over and over. A persistent visitor, I don't answer. But a thought begins to prick the edges of my consciousness. At first I try to ignore it, like I ignore the sun that tugs on my eyelids in the morning when I'm trying to sleep. But the thought gets louder and louder, repeating itself, forcing me to pay attention. There's something important I need to know. Perry. Did they find him? Does he live? I try to ask Nerain, but the words tangle up together in my mouth, so I give up and allow myself to drift again, idly wondering what kind of incense keeps me in this dream state. At first, there's only faint light kissing the darkness of the shelter. The moon? Someone sleeping nearby, breathing deeply. I take stock of myself. I'm still in the feathery bed. My chest is wrapped in a tight binding. There's a dull ache in my ribs, and I have a mild headache and a nagging itch on my forehead. I test my body, stretching it bit by bit. I'm tender almost everywhere, but I've had enough injuries to know what healing fractures and bruises feel like. I sit up cautiously, slide my legs off the side of the bed, and stand. The wooden boards creak, but the breathing doesn't change, so I take a few steps towards the source of the light. A faint breeze blows into my face. It must be a window. Nirang speaks, making me jump. How do you feel? Much better, thanks to you. You must have a strong healing powers. It helps to have a strong patient. Several ribs were broken, and you had a nasty blow to the head, and you're mending nicely. He stands and pours something. Here, drink. The water's warm, but tastes bright and clean like the hidden waters. My friend, did they find him? I ask. Yes, he's here. He's alive. My body tingles with relief. Then I owe you much more than thanks. Where is he? Will you take me to him? In the morning, he's on the ground. He couldn't be moved to the trees in his condition. I frown. The ground? What about the Scourge? Your friend is safe, I promise you. I hear the low hoot of an owl outside. The forest sounds quiet and peaceful. Safe, like Nirang said. How do you protect yourselves from them? Why do you allow your children to wander by themselves? Aren't you afraid for their safety? He laughs. There's much for you to learn about Kulkuna, young one, but now is not the time. You need to rest. Your body is still healing, and I'm an old man. I need my sleep. You don't seem old, and you don't seem like you have no sight, he says gently. Things are not always as they seem. Sleep now. Your questions will be answered. I climb back into bed. Perry's really all right. Yes, sleep. His tone is soothing, but I hear something in his voice, a hesitation. That pause keeps me awake long after I hear his breathing slow again, and after the owl tucks its beak into its wing and sleeps. I'm still awake, worrying about Perry and wondering about Kulkuna as the moonlight gives way to the first timid rays of the sun. Alright folks, that's the end of chapter 10, and I apologize for the background noise. My dog decided it was time to play while I was recording this. I guess I'll get this edited and uploaded, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.